We're so consumed with a false understanding of love because of Bollywood films and nonsense that we've forgotten and we've lost our God-given right to seek an even greater mukti than we're chasing in this world. We think that our boyfriends and girlfriends are going to give us liberation from our problems. It's all temporary. But when you fall in love with the Guru, the way I'll give the example is it doesn't matter where the Guru sends you or what your worldly circumstance is, because that circumstance won't have a grip on you. You might be in that circumstance, but with the Guru's hand around your neck, you'll only feel the warmth of their love in any circumstance. This is Raj na chaho. I don't want to be like these guys, completely consumed by the world. Mukti na chaho. I don't even want to be like these Siddhs that are living in the mountains, that are looking for this to be removed from the world. Man preet charan kamalare. I just want one thing. I want my mind to be filled with the love for the feet of my Guru. I want to be wherever my Guru puts me. And in the midst of this conversation about heaven and hell, I said, for Gursikh, if you're completely in love with your Guru, if your Guru puts you in hell, you're still in heaven. If your Guru sends you to Sachkhand, you're no better off because you're still with your Guru. परम सत्कारयोग गुरु खालसा साध संगत जी, गज बज के फतेह बुलाओ। वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह। We're all blessed to be in the company of Tan Tan Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Tan Tan Sahib Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, in their 11th and their eternal form. As Guru Sahib and their kindness bring us together, allow us to come into their sanctuary. Every week that we can reflect upon the Sikhi, the teachings of truth, the teachings that will go with us when we leave this world, the teachings that will give us an understanding of what is right and wrong and what is true and false, even as it deceives our very eyes in this world. The Sikhya that Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj gave from the Pinjari, from the cage, when they were on the cusp of being tortured and executed in the worldly sense for refusing to convert to Islam. The conversation doesn't get more true than on the cusp of death. And that one who is Tegh, who is the form of that broadsword, the form of braveness, of who is beyond death, if you will. They are the one that has conquered death, the one that is forever. They are the one that can teach us of the true meaning of life. You cannot know life. You can float through life merely existing and never know life. You cannot know life without an experience, without a taste of death. And in this way, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, they give us a true understanding of what it means to be alive. Guru Nanak Dev Ji teaches us, "Bi bahota karam, likhya na jai." That karam in that context means gifts. Maharaj says, "Bahota karam," so many gifts have been given to us. Bi likhya na jai, we can't even write them down. There's so much invested in us, so much given to us by our Creator, by our Lord, that one that is residing even within us, even as we speak. Bi bahota karam, of all of these gifts though, when we go to the great Gyanis, and we go to the teachings of Sant Gyani Gurbani Singh Ji Khasa Pindarawale, and in the Tika, the Pehli Poti Tika, which is affectionately referred to as the first poti of the Panth, it's like the Khajana of the Panth. Gyani Gurbani Singh Ji unpacks this line and they say, "Bahota karam likhya na jabi theek ya, Maharaj ne sanu sab kuch ditta hai." They've given us everything. But there's one thing that they've given us that is greater than all the other gifts. Bahota karam likhya na jai. Whilst we can't list all of those gifts, the greatest gift can be known. What then might we say is the greatest gift that has been bestowed upon us? The greatest gift that has been bestowed upon us of all of those gifts is the gift of our breath. In fact, Guru Sahib defines us not as human beings or as doctors or dentists or lawyers. They define us as prani. You'll hear Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji repeat as we go through the weeks, as we go through the sloks, we go through the journey. Guru Maharaj refers to us literally as prani. Prani meaning breath taker. They call us breath takers, for they see that as the best way to define us by our most important aspect. Why is it the case that the greatest gift we've been given is the gift of breath? Because it's on the breath that we breathe that we are able to take in the breath and we are able to vibrate upon the Guru Mantra of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, which is Vaheguru. Sare akho Vaheguru, Vaheguru. So Sadhguru Maharaj is saying to us, the greatest gift we've been given, we should use it for the purpose for which it is given the greatest value, which is to vibrate upon the name of God. Maharaj is saying that even when we do simony, even when we are in remembrance of God, we should from our own hearts be in a state of gratitude. But you're the one that gave me the breath, that allowed me to be in remembrance of you upon my breath. Guru Nanak Dev Kyun na bhaje Bhagwan. Maharaj is saying, you're insane. Dedicate at least some time to your day. So Maharaj is oftentimes very soft, telling us to wake. And sometimes, just like a child that has gone a bit wayward, they need a bit of a sorti. Maharaj is saying to us, if you're that person that doesn't spend some time doing simran in your days, you're insane. Guru Nanak Narabhavare Abakyo Dolat Deen. Maharaj is saying at this time, a time will come when you'll look back. Why are you going to falter? Why are you going to waver at that time? Use this breath now. And so, as we continue the journey to the 8th, and with Guru Sahib's Kirpa, we're going to try and get through the 8th, 9th, and touch upon the meanings of the 10th Salok today. Maharaj continues that teaching, Tana Tan Sampe Sukdiyo Arjay Ki Nike Tam. They repeat the point, Bitan, this body that has been given to us, has been given to us by our Guru, by our great Parameshwar Vaheguru. Tan. And the first tan is with the tatta, meaning our body. And then the second tan with the tadda is referencing what material wealth that we've been given. The clothes on our back, the houses that we go home to. In fact, any maya, anything in this worldly sense that gives us comfort, Maharaj is saying, Tana Sampe. Sampe means possessions, literally anything and everything that we have. Tana Sampe Sukdiyo Arjay Nike Tam. Then Maharaj says, Nike means Sundar, that thing which is beautiful. Sone, like Sona. Maharaj says, Tana Sampe Sukdiyo Arjay Nike Tam. And then that last Tada, meaning our houses, the places where we reside. Maharaj is saying that these three things, the body that we have, the wealth that we have, and the homes that we live in, pretty much our whole lively existence in the way that we exist in this ecosystem, all of these things have been given to us. And as we get older, we lose that sense of responsibility as to whom we should be attributing these gifts. Well, in younger years, we are instilled with these values. Say thank you. When someone is being picked up from a play date in the porch of their friend's house, and the dad or the mum is there telling them to put their shoes on, they say, what do you say? And we say to our children, and the child turns around like a mantra, they say, oh yeah, thank you for having me. These are things that have been instilled in us. And yet somewhere along the way, maybe in the Western capitalist venture where we have to sort of compete and it's about having a race, and so we strip ourselves of all the things that we would otherwise carry, but they weigh us down perhaps, and then manners get left behind, and then ultimately we lose this gratitude. And whilst we're still able to hollowly tell our children and our nephews and nieces, you should be grateful, you should be grateful, look at everything I've done for you, you should be grateful. We've lost the ability to have that attribution to our Parameshwar Vaheguru. Yet every single thing that we own, and everything that we live in, and everything that we have, including this body, which itself is just a habitat, a home for our soul, all of these things have been bestowed upon us. Have you ever looked at your hands or your feet and been in a state of gratitude? These things have been instilled in me, these gifts have been given to me. And Maharaj is saying, sampe sukh diyo. All of the sukh, all of the good, all of the sukh that you have from all of these gifts that have been imbued in your life, that they give you sukh, but we don't remember the one that is the giver of all of these gifts. Denda de lende thak pai juga jugantar khai hi khai. Guru Nanak Pacha explains that Parameshwar Vaheguru denda de lenda. They keep giving. They keep giving. Everything that we ever ask for is given to us. We sit in houses that decades ago we would dream to have bought. We are in relationships that we longed for. We are in jobs, having passed degrees that we thought, if I just graduated in that profession, I will be the happiest. There's nothing else I possibly need. If I just succeed in this job application. And yet we sit in those ecosystems of those things that have been bestowed on us, and we don't live in remembrance of those things. And I saw a post, I thought it was really interesting. It said, slow down. You are living your dreams. You just forgot they were your dreams 2 decades ago. Slow down. Just be in a state of appreciation. You're living the very dreams that you dreamed. And Maharaj says, Kaho Nanak sunare mana simrita kahe naram. If that is the case, why do we not remember that one that is the giver of all of these gifts? Why don't we remember? Because Guru Pyari Satsangat Ji, the reason that we don't remember Parameshwar Vaheguru is because our mind is constantly in a state of remembrance of something else. The reason that we don't remember Parameshwar Vaheguru is because we're constantly in a state of remembrance of something else. In fact, some people are in therapy. There's no issue of remembering. We're all so caught up in the traumas of our past, we live in them over and over again. Some memories we can't let go of. We can't stop remembering some things, and we live that trauma over and over again. So there's no issue about remembrance. To be in a state of remembrance is something that some of us are so good at, we torture ourselves with memories that should have long since passed. And I'm guilty just the same. The problem is that because we consume ourselves in those memories, we don't allow ourselves to be in a state of remembrance of the one that has given us all of our gifts. Tan tan sampe sukh diyo arjeh nike tam. All of the gifts, the body, the wealth, and the home, all of these gifts, these have all been given to us by Parameshwar Vaheguru. Kaho Nanak sunare mana simrita kahe naram. Why is it that we are remembering something else, Satsangat Ji? Because in a manner of speaking, my brothers and sisters, my friends, and I really am speaking just to myself here, as I look at my own shortcomings, but feel free to join in and reflect on this teaching for yourself. The reason that that we can't remember is because we're asleep. Maharaj says, Jaga leho re mana, jaga leho, kaha gafal soya. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj, they say, Jag leho, wake up, my beloved. Kaha gafal soya, why are you asleep so aimlessly? Maharaj says, Jo tan upajya sanghi, so pi sanghana hoya. They say, that body that you're dreaming with, that body that you think is in real life with you, you're existing within that body asleep. You think that because we wake up from sleep that actually we're awake, but actually this whole world is a dream. Kaho Nanaka thirkach nahi supne jo sansar, that this whole world is just a dream. And Maharaj says, Jotan upajya sanghi, that this body that we're so happy to be in sangat with. You have to understand, outside in the Western world, we think that we are this body. We think that this is my hands, this is my body, but in the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, we understand that this body is actually just a home for our soul. And actually, we are a jot within this body. So Maharaj is talking to the body as a foreign thing, which is something that we have to sort of re-educate ourselves with. In the West, we are so consumed with our external identity that we have superimposed that into our mind, that that's who we are. But we're not the body. We're not even the mind. We are actually the jot of Parameshwar Vaheguru within us, right? And so Maharaj talks to the body of who we are as an external. Maharaj says, Jotan upajya sanghi, be that body that you have been born into. That body, that shell that you've come into, Jotan upajya sanghi, so pi sangana hoya. Don't think that that's going to be your sangat forever. Be that body that you are so attached to. We don't think for a second that you're going to live in that body forever, and this is who you are. In the Abrahamic faiths, we're not here to denigrate anyone's faith, but in the Abrahamic faith, they talk about burying bodies in graveyards, and that in a day of judgment that they're going to be born again. But we know just from basic simple science and biology that when you dig up those graves or when those lands become the subject of construction sites, that there is nothing left, that body has become dust. The same dust, in fact, from whence it came. Indistinguishable. And so Maharaj is saying, we don't get so tied up with the gift that you realize that the gift, don't get so tied up with the gift that you make the mistake of thinking that the gift is permanent. Everything in this world is impermanent and is going to pass. And even the body that people are worshipping, you've only got to go to social media to see how much this has become the thing that's throttling us and strangling us and taking away our attention, that we're remaining constantly obsessed in remembrance of these bodies. Maharaj is saying, Jotan upajya sanghi sopi sangana hoya. Be that body that is your sangat right now, that's your company right now, that you're in the shell of right now, it's not going to be yours forever. But Sadh Sangat, just to be clear, that doesn't mean that we should disrespect our bodies. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have regard. If somebody gives you a beautiful gift, in fact, the most valuable gift in terms of worldly purposes is this body, because it allows us to sit and vibrate upon the name of God. If somebody gives us this gift, we should have it in regard. We shouldn't pollute that body. So this is not a license to say this is just a body. Jagraj would always talk about this. My brother Bhai Jagraj Singh, he would talk about this. He would say, Amritaris, they take Amrit, they learn about this concept that we're not the body, and then they just throw their body on the bus. They eat all junk food, and they start treating their body with such disregard. At the same time, this is a vessel that's going to carry us and allow us to hold the name of God within it. And any vessel that's going to hold something so pure should be kept with sanctity as well. Maharaj says, Kehe Nanak e sarir parvan hua jin satgur syo chitlaya. That this body is actually parvan, because within it there is the remembrance of Parameshwara Vaheguru. There is the Simran of God. So that's not a license to disrespect our bodies. The point is that somewhere in that balance, which is where Sikhi sits so sweetly, somewhere in that balance of an extreme where you think you are this body and you're wrong, and on the other end where you're completely disrespecting your body because you're not this body, you're also wrong. Somewhere in that sweet balance and an understanding that you're going to leave this body behind, but don't be so consumed with your identity and the problems that this body carries in this world, whether you're having a difficult time at work, whether you're having a difficult time health-wise, and in that way don't be consumed by your body, that in some way that affliction is upon you, because your soul is beyond disease, is beyond affliction, is beyond worldly problems. These are all problems within the mind. And Maharaj is saying, Jotan upajya sanghi sopi sangana hoya. Be this body is not yours. Be jagale ho re mana, jagale ho kaha gafal soya. Why is it that you're wandering so aimlessly asleep? And Satsang, there's an account from Guru Nanak Dev Ji's life that I want to share that really makes this point and will also help us actually. We'll come back to this Sakhi in the remaining sloks that we're going to try and travel through today. There was a time when Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they visit a family, and the way that it's described in the Tika of Sant Gyani Gurbani Singh Ji is that as he happens upon this family that he comes to visit on his travels, on these udasis, there's the father looking upon his fields, and his three sons are working in the fields. And the father is there, and he's telling the sons what to do. And they're following his instructions as they undertake the cartage of this world. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, he's saying to the sons, do the work properly. You're doing this wrong. If I wasn't here, you'd be stuck. Follow my instructions. And in this way, he's sitting upon the fence of the farm and looking out upon the fields and directing his sons. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, as they often would, they come and see this farmer, whose name is not mentioned in the account. And he's doing vichar with the father, and he says to the father, he goes, look, you've been working these fields all of your life, as you're watching the ox work the field, and you're telling your sons what to do, but your time is coming to an end soon. We use this body for what purpose you have come into this world. Do the karam, the true purpose for which you have come into this world. Undertake that cartage. And the father says, look, I've got a lot of work to do, my son's busy, if I don't tell him what to do, they're not going to know how to do it, they're going to make a mistake. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they give that teaching, and they move on. And sometime later, about 5 years later, Guru Nanak, they come back to that farm. And the sons that would see Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj visiting their father before, they recognize Guru Nanak and they go to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj and they do matha tek and they're speaking. And although Guru Nanak Dev Ji knew the answer, they asked a question nonetheless, and they say, "Where is your father?" They say, "He passed away some time ago. He's working tirelessly and he passed away." And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they see a buffalo working out in the fields that the sons are now directing. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they go to those fields and they do get up on that buffalo that's working in the sun's beating down upon the back of its neck, and it's being worked so hard on the fields to drag the cart around that the land could be ploughed. And as they bless this buffalo, the jot of that buffalo, the light, the soul of that buffalo comes out of that body. Remember that nobody is the body, the carcass, the shell. None of us are, and neither are those animals. There's jot inside everything. They're all going through that Jorasilak. They're going through that life form exchange, that they can be blessed to be human beings, that they can vibrate upon the name of God. And so the jot of that buffalo comes out, and lo and behold, it's the father. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji is speaking to that father, goes, "You didn't listen to me, because now you're working these fields. You're a buffalo. You're an animal. You're a janavar. You're being driven through these fields with a cart behind you. Even now, remember, Parmeshwar Vaheguru, I'll liberate you from this form." And the farmer, they see Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, and they said, "Look, I'd love to take you up on that offer. But my sons, they spent 500 rupees. To understand 500 rupees is to be a lecture in its own right, how much money that was back then. They go, my sons have spent 500 rupees. If I leave this body will be without the jot of myself. It will be dead. It will be a dead carcass. My children will be in debt. I can't let them be in debt. I've still got to undertake this garbage." They're so consumed by their worldly obligations that even beyond this world, those obligations are following them. And that habit is hard to lose. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, hearing the plight of this father to serve the family, they leave. And they come back sometime later. And that buffalo is gone, and the sons of the father, they've now got a house. They've built a house there on the edge of that farm. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji asks of that buffalo, they say that buffalo passed away from working so hard in the fields. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they see a dog standing guard at the front door of that house. And Maharaj goes up to that dog, and upon their glance of grace, Nanak Nadari, that glance of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Nadari, which you can have too if we vibrate upon the Japji. Maharaj Nanak Nadari Nadar Nihal, from that glance of grace, that jot becomes bargat, comes out and is visible. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji goes, "Look, you're in the form of a dog now. Just vibrate upon the name of God. I'm still here for you. Now take the time to reflect upon the one that has given you all of the gifts of your life before." And that dog says to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, he goes, "Listen, my family have accumulated so much wealth, it's all in this house. Arjeh Nike Tam, this beautiful Nike, this beautiful Sundar, beautiful home. All of these houses that have been given to us, they've been given to us by that great giver. You forgot the giver and you've become consumed with the house. Now this dog is saying, this beautiful house that my children have built of all the wealth that they've made, that we've made together, but I'm a guard dog. All of the wealth is inside that house. If I leave this body, then who's going to guard this house?" And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they leave them in that form, and after some time they pass away. And Maharaj explains, "Bi ant kal jo Lakshmi simare, aisi mare, aisi chinta mehje mare." That whatever you are thinking of when you pass away, ant kal jo Lakshmi simare, whatever is in your mind when you leave this world, whatever consumes your mind, that will determine what you go to in your next life. And it's also well to say, yeah, okay, I'll do my work, but when it comes to death, I'll remember Parmeshwar Vaheguru. We are habitual beings, Satsangat Ji. And if we don't remember Parmeshwar Vaheguru during the course of our life, in the thought of our minds that have been completely consumed by wealth and maya and relationships, it's inconceivable that in that moment that those are not going to be the things in our minds. And Guru Maharaj explains that if in that moment of death, Antakal, Jo Lakshmi, you become consumed with wealth, and that's what's on your mind, just was in this world of, in the thought of this farmer who would now become a dog, that you have to come back in one of the lowest life forms, which is the form of a snake. And a snake's life form is so painful because it's such a long life, it's constantly crawling around on its belly, has the sun beating down on it, and its mouth is poison, girdling around. And so in this way, these farmers reincarnate and they come back as a snake just slithering around this farmyard. By now, those children have moved on. They've had their own children. Their own children are now playing in the courtyard. They're playing on the swing. One of the children falls from the swing, seeing this child on the floor, crying. The grandfather, as he is still concerning himself with these relationships that are not going to go with us beyond this world, but they tie our minds up, that even beyond this world, he's still a grandfather in his mind. He slithers over to try and comfort his grandchild. I use the word grandfather and grandchild loosely. There's no grandfather here and there's no grandchild, and I'm sure you understand that. And as the snake's about to go towards the child, the sons see this, they go out and with sticks and they bash the snake to death. They batter the snake. And after this episode has all happened, the snake's been passed on, for it not recognized, of course, by the children. Guru Nanak Maharaj, they come back and they narrate the whole story, and they explain that that wasn't a snake, that was just your father who had that thought of wealth consuming their mind as a dog, and they had to come back now in that snake. And they ask Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they say, what of our father now? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj tells Bhai Mardana is Guru Nanak Dev Ji's best friend. They are traveling with him everywhere. And they say, go into the gully, in the bend of the open gully that are there. They say, go in that gully, there's a kira, there's an insect there, go and bring that kira. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, Bhai Mardana, they bring that insect forward. And it's living in the gandagi, living in the open dirt. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they do kirpa upon that, they do blessings, they undertake the blessings upon that insect. And out of the insect comes the jyot. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, tu nahi manda. You've been a buffalo. You've worked tirelessly, you've slaved away as a farmer, you've labored away 50, 60, 70 years. Let's not forget that. Tirelessly as a farmer. Then you're as a buffalo with the sun beating down upon your back, dragging that cart. Then there's a dog barking away on the steps of a house. Then there's a snake having your brains bashed in. And now you're living literally in the dirt, in the gand. And the farmer says, yo, I'm tired, man. Please save me, bless me, take me out of this. I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson that I have been suffering because of my attachment to the gifts, and because of my attachment to the world, I've forgotten that one beyond the world and my purpose. Please forgive me. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they liberate that farmer. So Maharaj is giving us his teaching, be jagale ho re mana jagale ho. Wake, jag. Literally, Guru Sahib is saying, wake. Wake from your woken state of wokenness that we think that we're actually awake. We're not. It's only when we remove ourselves from the understanding that this is permanent, that we exist in this way, that this is my body, that I am this person, that we can go beyond this, and then we can have an understanding that actually we are a jyot, we are a light. And Sadh Sangat Ji, the way that we can do that, Sadh Sangat Ji, is we go on to the next salok. Simrat kahe naram, sab sukh data, Ram hai, दूसर नाहि न कोए कहो नानक तेह भज मना वाहिगुरु कहो नानक सुन रे मना तेह सिमरत गत होए. Maharaj is explaining to us that all of the sukh that we have in this world, the first thing that we have to do as we direct our minds is kaho nanak sun re mana, is to have that understanding. Be sab sukh data ram hai, that all of the things in this world that we have, let's attribute them to the one that has given them to us. That even in their enjoyment, we should be in a state of remembrance. I'm going to say that again. I'm really speaking to myself here because I think I remain in a state of ignorance to this point. But even the things that we are so enraptured with enjoying, that if we can just bring Parameshwar Vaheguru into that aspect, that there's gratitude, that when we open the lid to that pizza as a starting point, that when we go for a run and we can feel the air rush into our lungs, that when we get that paycheck at the end of the month, that when we succeed in any undertaking or endeavor that we apply ourselves to, that in that success, we remain in remembrance of the fact that this is a gift bestowed upon us. Akho Satnam Sri. That if we can do that as a starting point, that Parameshwar Vaheguru, you're the giver of all of these gifts. That even in that fleeting moment, that it's just there for a moment before we get taken into our usual routine. As a starting point, let's say, let's start bringing Parameshwar Vaheguru into our understanding that all of these gifts are gifts that have been given to me by you. Akho Satnam Sri. And there's no doubt about this. Guru Sahib saying, Sab Sukhdata Ram hai. Sab Sukhdata Ram hai. Dusra na hai na koi. Maharaj makes it plainly clear. They're saying that all of these gifts have been bestowed upon us by Parameshwar Vaheguru. Kaho Nanak sun re mana tehe simrat gata hoi. And then Sadh Sangat Ji, we come on to the game of life, the real purpose, the real conversation that we need to have. Kaho Nanak sun re mana. Re, Maharaj is saying literally, hey, to get our attention. Re means like, excuse me, or yo, let me get your attention. Kaho Nanak sun re mana. They're saying that if you do this, tehe simrat gata hoi, that if we do this, in this way we will become liberated. Gat means Mukti. Mukti means to become liberated from this world. Liberated from the entanglements that we can be alive in this world and alive to the fact that this world is false. Kaho Nanak sun re mana tehe simrat gata hoi. Gati or Mukti is the purpose for which we have come into this world. For some of us, this might be the very first time we've even heard this. Sadh Sangat Ji, don't forget, Mukti means to be liberated, to be completely taken out of this world and to realize who we really are inside, to become one with that Jyot, that we are in a complete state of Anand, beyond this world, even whilst we're alive. This is the gift of Guru Sikhi. Just to be clear, Sadh Sangat Ji, there's different types of Mukti. We're going to just touch upon this because it would be remiss of us not to talk about the different types of Mukti, to explain by contrast just how great Guru Nanak Dev Ji's gift of like Keval Mukti is, the complete Mukti. There's 5 types of Mukti, just to touch upon this. There is Salok Mukti. Salok Mukti is when you get taken to the same desh, the same land that your Guru resides. So you become to a place where you're no longer in a separate land to where your Guru is. So you're in the same sort of continent, if you will. And many teachers can invite you and you can go to the same desh. There's still massive differences because of Avastha. Then after that you have Sumipa Mukti. Sumipa Mukti is then when you travel closer, your proximity between you and where your Guru is becomes less. Imagine then you go from here to India because your Guru is in India. And then Sumipa Mukti is when you go from India, you go to the same city, you go to Amritsar Sahib, for example, where your Guru resides. So the distance between you and your Guru now physically is less. Then after Sumipa Mukti, we have Salok Mukti. We have Sarup Mukti, the third form of Mukti. Sarup Mukti is when you are given the same form as your Guru. There's no distinction outwardly between how you and your Guru look. Then we have Sujaj Mukti. Sujaj Mukti is when the Guru's powers that they have, they bestow them upon you. Sadh Sangat Ji, these 4 types of Mukti are the Mukti that is offered by people in this world, in the worldly sense. But the 5th type of Mukti, Sadh Sangat Ji, is Keval Mukti. Keval Mukti is when you receive all of those things. You become to the land, the city, the Roop, the form, and also the Shakti of a Guru, but you become one with your Guru. Akho Satnam Sri. Sadh Sangat Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, they held nothing back. They gave us the gift of the Amrit. They gave us the gift of becoming not just a disciple of the Guru, but to become one with the Guru. They gave us their own form. They brought us to Anandpur Sahib. They gave us their own Jagah. They created the Khalsa, then they bowed before the Khalsa at Anandpur Sahib. They got down on their knee and they begged from the same Panch Pyare that they administered Amrit to, that they should receive the same Amrit. The same Shakti that was bestowed upon the Panch Pyare is the same Shakti that Guru Gobind Singh Ji now is kneeling before. This Keval Mukti is forever. The other four types of Mukti in the worldly sense, that there's worldly gurus that people get caught up with in a worldly sense. The way that it's described in our understanding, they last for a short period of time. Someone's worked it out and it was about 3.5 years. You get to go to these different Puris, these different places, and you get to enjoy those places. In the Abrahamic faith, they talk about paradise and rivers of wine and places of virgins and all these things. But these aren't within the realm of even what our desires seek. Because the Guru Sikh is looking for that eternal abode where we become one with the Guru and the Guru has become one with us. Akho Satnam Sri. And this is called Keval Mukti. And this is what when we come before our Guru is the one that can bestow that blessing. In fact, they gave that to the Khalsa, and then to demonstrate that, to repeat the point, they then bowed and they bent the knee before the Khalsa and said, the very thing that I have given to you, I am now begging for. Sadh Sangat Ji, what is this game? What is this game of love where there's all to be gained, where there's everything to be received? Sadh Sangat Ji, as we are undertaking this journey, it's just come to my mind. We're only 1 month away from April, and we know that in the month of Sakhi, that the Bhatta flows, that the opportunity to drink from that Khanda and become Guru Wale, that this is the time we should be directing our minds. Guru Nanak Sunare Mana Tehe Simrata Gata Hoi. Jagaraj Singh he said to me once, he said he was waiting outside an Amrit Sanchar when the Singhs came out, and he greeted the Khalsa with the Fateh, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh, and he would say, congratulations, you are currently the purest thing on this entire planet, because Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj have given you Keval Mukti. All of your karam, all of your history, all of your past, all of the regrets and all of the things that previously haunted you, they're all gone. Because the Guru gives us that Keval Mukti without condition, beyond any conditions. And we should have it on our agenda, Sadh Sangat Ji. Maharaj is saying, Kaho Nanak Suno Re Mana Tehe Simrata. We should be in a state of remembrance that we're looking for that gati. We're looking for that liberation. Sadh Sangat Ji, who is our Guru? Just going back to that journey that we witnessed a farmer going through after a lifetime of seeing Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, befriending them, accepting them as their Guru, but not quite there. One part of this Sakhi that I really like to dwell on is Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj didn't forget them. Even when they left this world and had to come back as a buffalo, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, throughout all their travels, they still went back. That's our Guru. Our Guru has our back. It's whether or not we have them in our mind. Even when they came back again as a snake, and they came back as an insect, and who's got time to go and find an insect in a drain? Our great Jagat Guru, even then they have us in their mind. Maharaj says, Vanatin Hariya Kitiya Nanak Kiya Manuk. One of my favorite pankti in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Maharaj says, Vanatin Hariya Kitiya Nanak Kiya Manuk. Listen to this, Sadh Sangat Ji. Maharaj says, Vanatin Hariya Kitiya, that every blade, Vanatin is like every blade of grass on the meadows, every leaf on every tree on the entire planet, every single one of them turns green. Every single one of them receives exactly what they need. There's not a single, you don't walk through a field and go, that one was, there's an abnormality there, that one's been forgotten. And all of the leaves of all of the trees, we're talking about hundreds of billions, or hundreds of millions certainly. Vanatin Hariya Kitya, every single one of them, they blossom forth, they get what they need. Nanak Kiya Manuk. Nanak says, what about you? You think you're forgotten? You think I'll forget you? If every leaf is within my mind to remember, and they're not forgotten, it's just whether or not we place our head before the Guru. You know, Sadh Sangat Ji, as a Sangat come in, as we rifle in, and this is again I'm just talking to myself here. We bow before the Guru, we place our matha before the Guru. Do we have any idea how much shukrana we should have in our hearts? Yo Maharaj, you've allowed me to bow at your feet, to proclaim you as my Guru. What gift is this? That in the whole world, there are people that are without a Guru, they are nigure, they are without a Guru. As Guru Amar Das Ji was often called before they found Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. They were called Nigura, the one without a Guru. At 72 years old, they had to wait till they were 72 years old before they fell at the feet of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. Akho Satnam Sri. And at that point, the beloved relationship blossomed forth. Satsangat Ji, to sit before the Guru is such a blessing. Let's have it within our minds that we want to seek that gati, that blessing. Gati, this word also comes up in the 10th salok. Maharaj says, we've spoken about gati. What's the point of this? Maharaj says, Jehe simrat gat paiye, te pajre te meeta, kahu nanak sunare mana oda katata he neeta. Maharaj says, Jehe simrat, that if you remember God, this is the key point, Satsangajini. If we take this away, then today, if we take this away and we apply this into our hardware, that we remember this constantly, then we will have really achieved a purpose for today's Divan. Maharaj says, Jehe Simrat, that if we do Simran, if we remain in the state of remembrance of Parameshwar Vaheguru, if we remain in the state of Shukrana, of gratitude of Parameshwar Vaheguru, of our great God, of our great Guru, Jehe Simrat Gat Paiye, that we will become liberated from just doing that. Tehe pajare te meeta. And they said, if that's the truth of it, in that case, pajare te meet, in that case, vibrate upon the name of God, my friend. Maharaj uses the word meet here. They're not giving an instruction. They're giving you some advice. They're saying, yo, Amandeep Singh, you got difficulties right now, you're struggling with a few things. Listen, I got you. This is the gift that my great beloved Guru Nanak Bacha brought to this world. The gift of the Gur Mantar. The Gur Mantar is Vaheguru. Be in a constant state of remembrance of the Gur Mantar. Sadh Sangat Ji, let's be a little bit disciplined in instructing ourselves right now. Let it be the case, Sadh Sangat Ji, that we be a little bit distant. Let's throw the gauntlet down right now. Up until now, we've been too busy because our mind didn't have our priorities straight. And we think there's a few things to do. There's only one thing to do. And okay, if we're not going to give up the other few things, at least find some time in the day. Before we leave today, let's do our ardas to Maharaj. Be Guru Maharaj, let it be the blessing you give me today, that not one day passes without me spending some time in remembrance of you and your great gifts. Let it be the case that as we close our eyes, let's make that promise to ourselves. And Sadh Sangat Ji, let's be very clear here. You're not giving anything to the Guru that improves the Guru's condition. You're not here to offer something from a state of ego that I've done this for you, now what are you going to do for me? That is a place of other faiths. That is a place of other transactions. We don't operate in that way here. We are here to fall in love with our Guru. And when we fall in love, the gift is that we got to fall in love. And so we should open up our hearts and say to Maharaj, Maharaj, let this gift be bestowed upon me, that I can be in a state of remembrance. I don't want to be ungrateful. I don't want to be a person surrounded by your gifts, but I never remember you. Who wants to be that guy, man? It's socially unacceptable to not remember one that takes care of you in this world, and for the one that's brought us through this world and all the lives before, and will carry us beyond this world, whether we become a buffalo, and I wish this upon no one, but whether we are buffaloes in this world, whether we're dogs in this world right now, or snakes in this world, or even insects. Even right now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji can liberate us from our state of being an insect, if we're an insect, and how are we suffering right now. I think you all know what I mean. Maharaj is saying, Jehe simrat gat paiye, te pajare te meeta, kaho nanak sunare mana, od katat he neeta. But don't think you've got time. Od, umar, your age. Don't think for a second that you've got time. Od katat it is decreasing. The ginti of that gift that you have is ever decreasing. Od kattate he nita prati, day and night. It's being stolen away from us. In fact, what seems like weeks ago, we went through those two saloks. Taranapo eo hi gayo leo jara tanjita kaho nanak pajahar mana od jat he beeta bird payo suje nehi kal pahuchio an. Maharaj has given us this foundation teaching. Don't think that in youth that you have time on your side, and don't think that in old age that it's too late. Kahal pahuchio kaho nanak narbavre kyo na paje bhagavan. Maharaj said to us earlier, I think that was 4 and 5, sloks 4 and 5. So Sadh Sangat Ji, the time is now. Jugaraj Paji would say this. They said that if Parmeshwar Vaheguru had a watch and you looked at it, the time would always just say now. Now is the time. It's not 4:45 or 4:45 or 4:45. The time is right now. Let's do the deed that needs to be done. And what we'll find, Sadh Sangat Ji, is whilst we think in our sort of unenlightened mindset, whilst we think that we're going to have to make time for this and we have to sacrifice other things, what we'll actually find is the other things will get taken care of all by themselves. Gyani Ji did the Kirtan of the Shabad with Ther Ghar Baiso Har Jan Pyare Satguru Tumre Kaj Savare. They say, you worry about instilling the name of God in your heart. That's what should be your worry. Do that. Satguru Tumre Kaj Savare, and all of your carnage will get taken care of. Sadh Sangat Ji, there's a lesson for me there. And I hope that we carry this home. So today, Sadh Sangat Ji, the teaching that Guru Maharaj is giving to us is all of these things in this world that we have, they've been given to us by one. And in the midst of all of those things, don't be so consumed with those things that we forget the one. Maharaj is explaining to us, Tana Tana Sampe Sukh Diyo Arjehe Nike Tam. Maharaj is saying that all of the things that we've been given, they've been given to us by that one. Sab Sukh Data Ram Hai Dusar Nahi Na Koi. In case we needed it spelled out for us, Maharaj literally says that in the next slok, we Sab Sukh Data Ram Hai Dusar Nahi Na Koi. All of these gifts have been bestowed upon us. Dusar Nahi Na Koi. We don't look to anybody else. Sadh Sangat Ji, it was put as a question once, as a rhetorical question. Well, what about people that make us happy in this world? What about if you're feeling ill and you go to a doctor and the doctor gives you a medicine? Should we not understand that the doctor has made you well? And from a Gurmat perspective, we shouldn't deny that person our shukrana, our thank you. The person that educates us and gives us a Sikh, gives us a teaching like the great Gyanis, Gyani Gurbani Singh Ji, Gyani Hari Singh Ji, that if we should be in their company, we should also be in a state of gratitude and shukrana. Maharaj, thank you for giving us this knowledge. Yes, but we should also understand that they are, within them is a light of God, and even the gyan that passes through them is a conduit, and we should ultimately always be in a state of remembrance and shukrana to Parameshwar Vaheguru. Aakho Satanam Sri. And Sadh Sangat Ji, I just want to share something with you about this Mukti. I was invited to a school a couple of years ago, and they had a panel discussion. It was about death. I thought this is quite an interesting point to end the Divan on. And they had a panel there. It sounds like a joke. They had a Jewish person, they had a Christian, they had a Muslim from the respective places of worship, and they had me on the panel. And the questions that were being asked was, what happens after death? And the students they were A-level students, RE and philosophy students. They were asking questions to the panel. Could you tell us what your answer to this question is? And they were going down the panel. And thankfully, I was sat on the end of the panel, so I got to go last, and this played out. And I'm really grateful to have had a chance to witness this, actually. And so they asked the Christian, what happens to us when we die? Talking about liberation and these things. So, well, if you've been good and you've been following Jesus Christ, you get to go to heaven, you know. And if you've been bad, you go to hell and you have to suffer. And then the Muslim explained that there's places of paradise where all these things are enjoyed, and they spoke about, there was elaborations upon different things and what that means, the rivers, all of the things you'll have heard about. And then the Jewish person went next. And as this was happening, Sadh Sangat Ji, It got to my turn to answer the question, and on the board, I wrote a pankti from Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. And Maharaj says, Raj na chaho, mukt na chaho, man preet charan kamalare. And I turned around, and these A-level students that were there, I said, you have to understand, in Gurmat, there is this pyar, there's love for the Guru. And for a Guru Sikh, all that we're seeking for is, the whole purpose of life is to seek my Guru's khushi. If my Guru's happy with me, then it's all good. And in this Bhakti, Maharaj explains to us liberation on the highest level. They explain Mukti on the highest level. Maharaj says, Raj na chaho, Mukta na chaho. So the world's divided into two groups of people. People in the world that are consumed by the world, and then people that are traditionally like religious people and they're trying to run away from the world. This is before Guru Nanak Dev Ji came. So there's people that are completely stuck in the world, corrupted by the world, and they're just in the rat race, like that farmer, for example, that we heard about. And then you've got other people like the yogis, and they're running away up into the mountains, trying to get away from the world, and they're looking down upon the world, right? And they want to be, these people, the business people, they're trying to get Raj in the world. They're trying to become successful in the world. They want to accumulate all the wealth. And then the religious people, they're running away from the world. They're trying to escape the world. They're trying to get Mukti from the world. They're trying to get liberated in those lower states of Mukti. And what does Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj say? That as they see this play being played out, that some people are running off, they're just completely consumed with this world. Tan jeto ko devatasyo ne hunakin. They're fallen out of love with everything, but they're just in love with the world. And the other guys, they've completely lost touch with the world. They're living in the jungles. They've taken off their clothes and they're just renunciates. And what does Guru Arjan Dev Ji say looking at this? And I wrote this on the board. I said, listen, for a Guru Sikh, all we want to do is fall in love with God. Maharaj says, Raj na chaho. I don't want to be like these guys, completely consumed by the world. Mukta na chaho. I don't even want to be like these Siddhs that are living in the mountains, that are looking for this to be removed from the world. Man preet charan kamalare. I just want one thing. I want my mind to be filled with the love for the feet of my Guru. I want to be wherever my Guru puts me. And in the midst of this conversation about heaven and hell, I said, for a Guru Sikh, if you're completely in love with your Guru, if your Guru puts you in hell, you're still in heaven. If your Guru sends you to Sachkhand, you're no better off because you're still with your Guru. And when I said that, there was a sigh in the room. All of these A-level, these are all girls' classes, and they just sighed. They were just like, oh, that's what you mean by love? We're so consumed with a false understanding of love because of Bollywood films and nonsense that we've forgotten and we've lost our God-given right to seek an even greater mukti than we're chasing in this world. We think that our boyfriends and girlfriends are going to give us liberation from our problems. Now you see where those 4 lower states of mukti come in, right? Yeah, 3.5 years relationship, then you're in a divorce court or you're running around trying to find someone to replace that person. It's all temporary. But when you fall in love with the Guru, the way I'll give the example is it doesn't matter where the Guru sends you or what your worldly circumstance is, because that circumstance won't have a grip on you. You might be in that circumstance, but with the Guru's hand around your neck, you'll only feel the warmth of their love in any circumstance. And by Dharam Singh and by Himmat Singh, when they were at Chamkor di Gari, they were fighting against 1.8 million Fauj. And they were fighting so furiously as Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj is looking down upon them. The Maya Mohani, the female, if you want, the ones that are the most attractive angels, they came down to tempt them from their lower places of mukti, these like 4 places of mukti that we've been speaking about, the lower states. And they tempt them, say, look, you fought so bravely, you can come back to our Puri, you can come back to our temporary heavenly abodes. And do you know what Bhai Dharam Singh and Bhai Himmat Singh said? They said, we are standing before Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj on the battlefield. Our Guru's nadari is upon us. You cannot improve upon our condition. We're already in Sachkhand. We're already in Mukti. What can you how can you improve my condition? I've got Keval Mukti. My Satguru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, looks upon me. Sadh Sangat Ji, this is the game. Truth be told, I don't say this with any ego. It's the truth of it, because it's not my success. We left that school, and the Christian bishop, they came up to me and they were really annoyed. They went, "You came out better than all of us in that." I said, "It's not me." So when you got the cards of Gurmat that you're speaking with, if these are the cards I've been dealt to speak of, the Gyan of my Guru, how can we come up short? Truth be told, we've seen the videos of Jagraj Singh when we went to Speaker's Corner. You've seen the millions of views where they just smashed everybody, right? In these so-called debates. Was there ever going to be a fair debate when he was coming to Speaker's Corner with Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Gurmat Vichar? How can you compare the game? So Sadh Sangat Ji, today's Vichar has been a bit of a hard conversation, and I invite you to have a harder conversation still with your own mind as we reflect. We've heard the teachings today. Are we going to be buffaloes and dogs and snakes and insects in this life? Or are we going to be a farmer sitting on the fence that when someone has told us that we should spend time doing Simran, that we actually say, "You know what, lads, take a break. Let's sit down for half an hour every day at Reras and we're going to do some Simran." Gurmat naam mera pran Sakhi, har kirat hamari reheras. This is the actual capital for which we've come into this world. So Sadh Sangat Ji, you are the Sangat of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. Today we have attempted to shed some light on the depth of the sloks 7, 8, 9 and 10 in Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Slok Nava. You are the Sangat of the Guru. I've made many mistakes. I have made many mistakes. And you're the Sangat of the Guru. So I beg from you your blessings and your forgiveness, that we can take these teachings and store them in our hearts, that we can all learn from them and apply them, that we can do Simran every day in our hearts. Lekhe katha na shuttiye khin kin pulanhar baksanhar baksale nanak paryotar. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.